Okay, so now let's take a look to the sampler. I have here the sampler. Let's take a look to the presets that come with the GarageBand. So we have the bark from the dog, giggle, kids cheering. It's a pretty easy to use sampling thing, but I think the sounds that it offers, they're not that real good. I think this works just fine. I wouldn't recommend this to do some serious recording, but you can have a lot of fun doing recordings. For instance, I have this recording of me. This will sound some sort of high pitch. This will sound lower. Yeah, you're gonna have fun with this. So I've also sampled sounds from my MO8, like for instance this heavy metal guitar. So as you can see, this is the E that the guitar from GarageBand reaches. So now with this sampling, I can go just above this E. So now you can play solo. And now as well, I've also sampled a heavy metal guitar for lower notes, so I can reach now the drop D and drop C that I couldn't do with the smart guitar from GarageBand. As you can see, the modulation wheel works, the pitch bend also works, but as you can see, the sound is quite cheap and sounds quite digital and it's not very good. Also, I have the violin. As you can see, it also sounds quite cheap, not that really good. Tenor sax, so maybe you want to do some jazz things. These are sounds that you don't have actually in the GarageBand. So yeah, it sounds quite digital. So yeah, this is actually the sampler. Okay, so this has been quite a long review of how does an iPad work connected to a synth, keyboard, digital piano, MIDI controller via the use of the Apple Camera Connection Kit. You might be wondering why I haven't used the smart drums or the audio recorder or the guitar amp. So in answer to that question, I actually don't play guitar, so that's why I haven't used the guitar amp. I also don't have the iRig to plug in a guitar or a keyboard. The audio recorder doesn't require a keyboard at all. The smart drums, the keyboard doesn't actually work with the smart drums, so I didn't have the need to do that. Also, a thing that I want to point out here is that, for instance, on the keyboard, sometimes when you are using the pads or the synth, you might want to do use of knobs here, but these actual physical knobs do not work with the keyboard. They might do on a MIDI controller, but I don't actually have a proper MIDI controller right now. I'm getting one soon, and I might do a little video showing that, but it's going to be later. So in this case, the knobs do not work. The volume of the keyboard doesn't really matter in this case because the sound is actually going out of the iPad. So as I was watching some other videos, I was wondering where does the sound come from when you're using the iPad Camera Connection Kit through a keyboard. So in answer to that question, the sound does come from the iPad speakers, but in this case, as you can see, I've used a cable here to connect my iPad to my stereo, so that was where the sound was so loud. And another thing that I want to mention is that every sound works with the sustain pedal here. Be careful with those sounds that do not work with the pitch bend or the modulation wheel, because you might be playing live and you don't want to be, playing some notes that you don't want without the pitch bend or you know, having the lack of expressiveness here without the modulation wheel. And yeah, another thing that I wanted to mention is that it's actually this is a very good setup for a composer that's on the road constantly, or if you're a composer that likes to be, you know, going to some places so you can be inspired or whatever. Yeah, it's quite a simple setup. The only thing you need is a MIDI controller, the camera connection kit, and well, of course, the iPad, and maybe some headphones, and you can be working. Yeah, so as you can see, it's much more easier to be playing on a physical keyboard than on this little keyboard. Yeah, if you're a keyboardist, a piano player, a guitar, bass player, a drummer, it's quite frustrating to be playing on this screen, the iPad screen. It's quite frustrating. Sometimes you want to do some drum fills or really expressive piano licks or guitar things, and yeah, it's sometimes quite frustrating. It's much better to do this on a physical keyboard. And actually, if you have also a MIDI guitar, sorry, it also works. Just like if you are a piano player and you want to do some guitar parts, you will go to guitar and, you know, play some guitar parts. It actually works the other way around. If you are a guitar player and you want to do some piano parts, you can have a MIDI guitar and play the piano parts, and it will work just fine. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that this video was useful to you all, guys. And if you have any questions or any doubts, feel free, please, to ask down in the comments below. I'll be willing to answer all your questions. If you have any doubts, I will answer them to you as soon as possible. So thanks for watching. See ya.